And we are live. This is Living Out Louder. I am your host, Dave Vargas. We're emanating from New Bedford, Massachusetts. This is a show on awakening, healing, creating, and transforming. Tonight, I wanted to welcome to the show a mind, body, and soul alchemist, a healer of sound, Naseem Murakami. Hi, Naseem. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me here. I'm super excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
And say hello, everyone that's here. If you're watching, give me some hearts and hellos, and welcome Naseem here with us. And we are, as we were just saying, we're in the Lion's Gate, and we're also in a lot of different times right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different toxicity coming up, a lot of forces. And I wanted to bring you on because at the end of the day, no matter what is ever going on,
Yes,
we have, as the individual, have the choice of how we're going to react to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that you were such a proponent, a champion of eating vegan and things of that nature. I wanted to share with your thoughts on that and how that, when you went that way along the whole journey, some of the benefits of that you have noticed in your own life.
Yes, thank you so much. I would love to share this. This is one of my passion, and it's been a huge piece of transformation, starting with my own temple. So long story short, I used to live in East Coast, New York, and I was going through a really, really difficult relationship, abusive relationship. And something magical happened that got me out of the situation. And I moved to California, and I was on a journey of like finding what this life is about, and kind of like finding my calling and spiritual journey. And so I ended up being in a Christian church, and that's whatever was available at that time. And it was like the day before Thanksgiving Day. I was literally like complete surrender and just asking the creator, like, what can I do to really, do to, change myself? Because I was still recovering from divorce and my life was a huge mess. I was desperate to do anything to get out of my victim mindset, and whatever I was creating at that moment that wasn't really serving my best, and I was just struggling one after the other. So and I was on the pulpit as part of ministry for singing and choir group. And so we had this song called Purify Me, and I was just singing a song and then praying at the same time. And then I was prompted to this like simultaneous knowing, and that's where I discovered plant-based lifestyle. And there's a lot of things mentioned in the Bible about how to manage our temple, but those things are not really talked about in a traditional church setting. And so I went through a lot of research myself, and how those informations are hid from the public, instead promoted heavily on processed food, the corporate agriculture, which is like causing a lot of suffering to our animal friends and also toxic to our environment. So I start to connect a lot of dots about what we consume has a direct impact of the world we're creating. Plus how I feel, how my body is functioning based on what I'm consuming. So it was a whole new awakening for me. And then it just, bingo, purify me. Yes, I need to purify my temple first so I become a clear vessel. And from there, I start doing detoxing, cleansing. I've experimented with the raw vegan food, which is really helpful for detoxing. Before I, went on full on vegan for about 10, 11 years now. But
Mm.
eating the whole unprocessed plant-based uh, diet was such a critical part of rebuilding, healing my body, my mind, my thinking pattern. I suffer from depression. I was like literally suicidal since 9 years old. I come from a very challenging family. I grew up in Japan, being multiracial, so I was constantly bullied at school from the young age, abusive, negative, growing up in those environment. It's kind of set you up in a
Yeah.
place that you are victim of low self-esteem, you are not good enough, and that mindset carried on to my marriage, that I've been abused by my spouse. And because I was allowing that to happen, because I was totally lost, I didn't have my identity being multiracial in a country like Japan, and I was trying to fit in, and I couldn't, because I wasn't honoring who I am. I was just totally lost, right? So
Yeah.
there was a lot of learning and spiritual soul growth that I have to go through to finally realize that. And the plant-based diet from purifying my temple started to make connection with myself, and myself to the environment and the creator. So from there, my life started to transform a lot. I start to um, I became a Reiki master about 5, 6 years ago. And then
Beautiful.
from there, I also made a connection about everything in the universe is like created. Everything in the universe is an energy, the vibrational based universe.
Yeah.
So being a musician, also that was a language, the language of frequency, the vibration. I was able to understand that, food is also a vibration frequency. So when we are consuming that's high vibrational, that's obviously changes our mindset, changes how we react to the world, respond to the world, and how we think.
That's
So
right.
right now, what we're going through, it's such a opportunity for us. And I know a lot of people are fearful and not sure how the world is going to be. And I feel like all this is happening by design.
Yeah.
We can easily perceive, oh, there is this, globalist or whatever we want to call it, or out to depopulate us, or, going after us and, force faction and kill us all, whatever. That's one idea. If you want to believe, that's another vibrational frequency, right? It's a lot of
Right.
fear.
Mm.
And or this is the time to really get in touch with us and see things as opportunity for change, opportunity to take our power back, not rely on something outside of ourselves, but to really connect with us, connect with like-minded people, help other people to see the truth, help other people to empower themselves. Because this is something we do it ourselves, but then also we have a responsibility to educate others, empower others, and inspire others, so we can really create the shift. Because we cannot do this by ourselves. We cannot ignore those that are still asleep, because if that's the case, and if the world is shifting into the certain direction that we don't want, then
Right.
that's our responsibility. So we have to reach out. I don't know if I got off track, but that was
That's,
my initial calling about the plant-based lifestyle.
yes, but it's so very important. Everything is interconnected,
Mm-hmm.
as you said. For so long, the temple, the temple in the altar of our mind from source
Mm-hmm.
we we put someone else on that altar, on that throne. We were not connected to who we are, and all these false images that we're worshiping, that we're trying to come through. So it is very important that we do whatever we do, we're clearing that,
Mm-hmm.
clearing the temple, as you were saying, and really rejoining who we are
Yeah.
and the many ways that you were doing that. As you said, everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is at a frequency, and the foods that we're eating, especially with people that were experiencing at the on the onset when this all happened, people were experiencing, they couldn't get it. They're looking for love from somebody else, and they're looking for a grocery store to get their nutrition. It
Mm-hmm.
going somewhere else from what they need, that they should already have, you know.
Right.
And that's some of the, now explain to someone that may not be, too familiar with it, what would be the difference
Mm-hmm.
between someone's hears you saying vegan, but then what's the difference between raw vegan?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So raw vegans means it's a vegan plant-based, but you're eating in a raw living format. So which is um, it's not it's uncooked, and although some raw vegans cooked in a low temperature, traditionally, if you go above 114 or I think 100, yeah, 118 degrees, the food starts to get destroyed on enzymes and some vitamin C's. And some nutritions are not affected by heat, but mostly also the energetic vibration, the prana of the food are compromised by the heat. So it is really beneficial for us. Although there's a cooked vegan, there's the financial reason for it. Not everybody can adopt the raw vegan diet, and especially people in North America in a colder climate, it's difficult to have access to tropical fruit. So I know it's not for everyone. It's you have to honor with your lifestyle that's you can manage. So but it's important that all of us are consuming more raw fruit and vegetables, which is growing, and it's also like important that it's not like picked like 3 months ago and sitting in a store shelf for months and months. It just loses the prana, the key, the life force energy within the produce. So for me it's kind of like same thing, like cooked overheating destroys it, but then also if you're eating like not in a seasonal, it's like somewhere stored for a very long time, it's kind of loses the life force energy. So it's important for us to consume something is full of life, so then that energy carries into us. And also a lot of time those fresh vegetables and fruit contains a lot of water content, and it's like a perfect purified water in there, and our body is like made up more than 65% water. And so if we're also taking a lot of living water, which is like alive, and that really keeps us stay vibrating higher and give us life force energy. But when we only eat, like I used to be a vegan and then still using microwave, and I was cooking heavily, um, eating junk vegans like crackers and packaged foods that doesn't go bad, right?
Right.
You have to question why the food is not going bad, because it's already lost its life force energy. So if you eat something like that as a majority of your diet, then it's going to affect our life force energy. You know, you're eating highly processed vegan food that can even be harmful. Like you're eating a lot of GMO soy products in, you know, vegan, you know, meat or whatever, a lot of coloring, a lot of preservative, and those things are not good for our body. It's a toxin. So there's, you know, you have to educate ourselves, like what is given in nature. You know, that's where we start to heal, and you know, heal ourselves by eating a natural food from the natural source.
Absolutely. It's, the proper nutrients to have the energy, that the energy is boosted during times
Hmm.
of all these unknowns going on. Not that many were feeling centered and aligned before all of this, but when this came down, this added even more onto it. And to have that proper energy to,
Hmm.
because things are so misleading, and that anything that was on a conveyor belt was sprayed with
Hmm.
something on it. And as you said, robbing its
Yeah.
nutritional content from it.
Yeah. I forgot to add one more thing.
Yeah.
So some people might have a question like, oh, how about eating like eggplant, nightshades, or rice that needs cooking? You know, I think that nightshades traditionally, like you don't want to eat those things in high amount because those foods are tend to cause inflammation. Sure, you can eat some, but we have to stay like in balance, right? We cannot eat too much of whatever that is, or try to avoid. Depends on how your body reacts. Not everybody has the same body type. Some people are more sensitive to those nightshades, or have allergy reaction to certain foods. So we have to be in tuned, you know, what is feels best for you. And for some people, their gut system is so destroyed they cannot really digest food. Then it might be necessary to like steam a broccoli instead of like chewing the raw broccoli. That might be difficult to break down the cells and properly assimilate nutrients because your gut system is already compromised. Then yeah, I would, you know, suggest like, yeah, go ahead and cook it, but don't cook in a high temperature, so we can lower it. And takes time, but you're preserving more nutrients, you know. So there's a way to, you know, still enjoy cooked food, but we have to watch out the temperature, you know, that preserve more nutrients.
Sure. Absolutely. It's sharing the love with it instead of having something that's so instant. It's being, cutting, cleaning, and
Yeah.
and it's being with it. And I love how you said the life force in, in that. Uh, One of my favorite authors, Thomas Troward, he wrote a great, quite a few good books, The Hidden Power and the Edinburgh Lectures. It was over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Anybody listening now, pick those up, and you will thank me later. But in it, he called this everything that we're dealing with the life force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I love that, and we don't want to lose that. We want to gain that. We want to have that life force coming to and
Yeah.
through us.
Yes, it's true. It's so important that um what stays us, you know, alive is this breath, you know. um it's so irony that, you know, so we live in this duality, and then one side of the spectrum is kind of forcing us to wear a mask, and you know, that's kind of preventing to connect with breath. And so we're like literally it's experiencing almost like a battle on a spiritual level, you know, beyond what we can comprehend in what's happening. This is the conscious battle, the spiritual battle, and we all have to choose, make a choice that are we gonna stay um, connected with ourselves and take back our own power, or just just be a victim of everything what's happening, like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? And like, it's just, if we're on that path, it just goes down with it, or we're gonna be educating ourselves, we're gonna strengthen our immunity, we're gonna learn to relax ourselves, we're gonna shut the TV, the news, and all this negative thought that's constantly fearing us, and try to recreate our own paradise on earth. So this is a battle, and we have to choose.
I couldn't agree more. Whoever's listening now with us live, share with some of the things that you're doing to boost in your immunity, especially during the times that we're in right now.
Yes.
And as you said, if we do nothing, that's why we are where we are right now.
Yeah. So what I do is, like, number one, self-care, totally important to love yourself first, take care of yourself, take care of your needs, make sure you are safe. So I need to be, mindful about eating, as always has been. I need to spend a lot of time in the nature so I can connect. And the nature has its amazing medicine, takes out your anxiety, the stress away. It's just beautiful to be in the nature, smelling this beautiful natural breeze. And I also spend a lot of time with my pet, my dog. I hug her a lot. It's so important that we need to connect it, so with the social distancing, it's difficult now,
Yes.
but I have my pet, so I'm constantly hugging and kissing her. It just helps, shift my brainwave from releasing stressful cortisol to put me back in, like, eating a chocolate, releasing serotonin and dopamine, which is like you can experience when you hug someone, because we are a social animal. So if someone forces us to social distance and isolate ourselves to connect with others, that is going to have a severe impact on our immunity. I know that. And I know that's what they're going after, because they have to do those things to create their version of world, which is like not what I want to create. So I'm doing the total opposite. I'm going and, hugging my pets and hug my friends, who are not
What
fearful.
what kind of
Um,
dog do
yeah,
you have?
I just have this sense of trust, and I know I'm taking care of my body. So literally, that whatever the virus we want to call it, that frequency doesn't vibe with my frequency. So I'm no longer afraid of it. I'm no longer, you know, like, I don't, it's not even my conscious right now, to be honest. It doesn't exist, that part of the world. So yeah, I'm, practicing my daily meditation, my yoga, making music. um of course, there's a lot of shift in, my work, and, like everybody's going through a lot of changes, but I maintain my positivity and sanity by being creative, which is super important for us all as a co-creator, to constantly be in a creator producer mode versus consumer mode, because that's a difference in staying empowered or being a victim.
Yes. What kind of dog do you have? Puppy.
Oh, I had the opportunity to rescue my dog is a mixed breed. She's part lab and then part pit bull.
Oh, nice. What and what's her name?
Her name is Atia. She's about 45 pounds, so not too big, but, medium-sized dog. So it's like nice to cuddle her. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. That exactly. It's more of the life force. More.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really cannot stress this. Like, if anybody have an opportunity to adopt a pet, right now is a great time. If especially if you're people who are alone, stuck in apartment or stuck, by yourself. If you can, save the cat or dog, whatever you can, because it also helps you to boost your immunity. And it's just, you have someone to take care of, which is, it's empowering for us, you know?
Yes, I absolutely love that. That's a great thing. As you said, that we think in the very beginning we're being told what to do, we're being programmed just like in the past, that this is, being disconnected with my identity, who I am, um, and, better ways that I should really eat. And just as you said, that be out in nature, get out, be
Hmm.
where we're supposed to be, and take that all in. Be part of that beautiful high vibrational life force energy. And that's away from all of the electronics. That is, those spots out in nature, out on the trail, is the highest vibrational spots that you
Yes.
possibly can be in. Those that have the highest frequencies. It's always why. Always.
Hmm.
Every time a day spent
Yeah.
in nature, every time you always walk away refreshed.
Exactly. It's a place that there's no electromagnetic, EMF. It's just the energy, it's a clean air. The plant has its own frequency that helps us for healing and connect with us, with the source, and Mother Nature. It's just the fundamental of who we are. We belong to this planet. And so what happened is we got lost in touch with nature. We are nature, but we forgot about that. So we need to constantly go back to nature and remember who we are, because in nature everything is in perfect order. Everything has a symbiotic relationship. But because of our ego, this is what, it's not like all is bad. This is because we're learning. We came here to learn. We're having this duality experience. So nothing is bad. We just have to connect the dots and correct from what we learn, from the mistakes we learn. So now is the time that we can let go of our own, critical self-judgment, unforgiveness, or hate, or anger, whatever the emotion is still, present with us. We can learn to let those things go in the nature. And then when you spend time and meditate or just take a walk, there's something magical about being in nature that feels safe, makes feel it's going to be okay. The time all of a sudden slows down when you spend time in nature. You start to breathe deeply, instead of shallow breath when you're in the city. So yeah, I think I can't recommend it enough that people will start doing that more often. Yeah, and then if you can, it's also a great opportunity to start growing your own food in your backyard or in the porch. There's no excuse. You can have a container garden. You can grow microgreens in your apartment. There's no excuse that you cannot connect with the earth. That's really empowering to know that you have a power to feed yourself, like without depending on going to the grocery store to feed yourself. So it's just one choice at a time. What choice can we each day bring closer to empower and strengthen ourself, as a sovereign being, instead of being controlled by the authority, or just being their guinea pig or whatever.
Absolutely. This is everything that I'm about. How each day spent with Source, and how much closer can we get to that instead of being distracted with all because there is so many distractions, especially in these times. And
Yeah.
I remember sharing Duncan uh, shared a quote the other day. I shared it, and he said, "There's probably some fool next to a waterfall right now without his phone, not realizing how scared and angry he must be right now." You know,
Yeah.
because we're all getting programmed with all
Yeah.
these conflicting stories and falsehoods and fear programming.
Hmm.
There's something we can do every day, and many different things to be closer to source, closer to who
Yeah.
we are. And yeah, absolutely. There's no excuse. It's just, what do we really want? And that's why I want to have, conversations like this with you, you know,
Yeah.
for people to hear many different alternatives and ways to do that. And another great way to really get closer to source, and it's why I really identified with you so much, was um, being creative. And you have been in music, songwriter, singer,
Hmm.
producer, and also putting on these amazing sound baths, these healing events.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I heard some of it, and it touched me deeply. That's why, I was like, I have to talk to this lady. And how long have you been in music?
Wow. Pretty much all my life, I was composing and, creating melodies when I was like kindergarten, and I had an opportunity that my mother put me to go to a piano school, and then I started making music, as young as kindergarten time, and high school. I was joining the high school band, and I was in Japan, and started a band, and yeah, music was always big part of my life. And
Do you remember the name of the band in
oh my
Japan?
gosh. It's just my name. Different names, throughout it kept changing. So yeah, but I just, music has been also part of my big part of my survival when I was really struggling and suicidal and depressed growing up, and also recovering from divorce and all that. Music has been always big part of my healing. And also I was in the entertainment music industry, and when I learned about the dark side of the industry, I decided to walk away. Didn't want to do nothing to do with the mainstream music, so I kind of like stop with my pursuant to be an artist. But it's interesting how it bring back circle when I became an energy healer. I couldn't neglect the importance of sound healing. It just came right circle back at me. And then so I had an opportunity to study sound healing, and the sound frequency healing property of certain instruments. And yeah, so it's connected the dots again, like, oh my gosh, I need to give back, and then use my talent and gift to help shift the consciousness of these people and help heal. And that become a big part of my passion and my purpose, to help people to heal and raise the vibration of this world.
Yeah, I think no matter what we do, no matter how much we try to ignore things, the tappings on the shoulder, the divine tappings always urging us.
Yeah.
The muse or the divine or source, whatever it is always urging us. And I think many could maybe relate, whatever creative medium that they use, whether it's painting or music or things like that, that life got in the way of, for whatever reason, and they just stopped.
Hmm.
you know and that this is another great way to connect with your most authentic self and a source, someone that can actually pick up something that they, you know, no longer do, and
Mhm.
start doing it. It's when you started getting back into that, how did that make you feel though? I had the same type of experience. I picked it all back up a couple of years ago, and yeah,
Yeah.
how did
Yeah.
that feel for you, reconnecting with all of that?
Yeah, it was such a like awe moment for me. I didn't receive this, gifts by accident. So I realized like, wow, this is my responsibility to really polish and use my gift. If I don't use it, it's just going to be taken away. Matter of fact, my depression was so severe. I lost my voice. I couldn't sing anymore, and I wasn't able to. I also had a severe allergy, so I just completely shattered my throat chakra. I wasn't able to sing for a very long time. So because everything started with the fear, fear of, whatever I was going through. And I wasn't able to change my mindset at that time. So I had to go through and learn the hard way. Um, yeah. So once you start to honoring your gift, I believe everyone has a different gift, what you're good at. And not necessarily means arts and music or dance, but some people are good at storytelling. Some people are good at, some kind of mathematics or, science or whatever, so each person has gifts and talents, and we're all called to honor those things, to use it for the good, to share, for the evolution of us all, humanity, right? And when you do that, when you start honoring that, I think that universe will help you, support you, to bring that to the masses, to help you to do more of what makes you happy, what you fulfilled, with what you're given. So yeah, that was like a big aha moment. Yeah, and that is the key to having a fulfilling life, which is also a lot of people are struggling with depression. And I believe that depression is when people lost the way to express themselves. I think I read from someone who it was a quote of someone. I just cannot remember whose that was, but depression is basically someone who lost in touch and don't know how to express it. So it just stuck in there, don't know where to, because it's an energy. Energies have to keep flowing, but it got stagnant and it stuck somewhere and turns into this deep sadness. It turns into an anger, and you cannot release it, and that becomes like a huge depression or disease, right? It manifests in a negative way. It's self-destructive. So it's so important to share. It's so important to express that without a fear of someone's going to judge me, or someone's going to criticize me, including your own criticizing yourself. I was the worst critical about my own self. That also kept me not share with the world, because I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of those things, right? And that came from my childhood, that I was suppressed and I was rejected. And I think a lot of people experience that. Rejection is very difficult. It's the opposite of love, but we have to trust the creator, why the creator granted you in the first place.
Yeah.
So there is a purpose. We are all here. There is a purpose why we have certain skills and talents, so we have to, it's our responsibility to do whatever we can to share it, keep sharing it. And then some doors open up, someone sees you benefit from what you're doing, it will turn into supporting your life or turning into a business, so this is a time, I think it's like, the more you can be creative and sharing it, or creating into your, maybe turning into a job, instead of like unhappy working for someone doing something totally it's not what you're aligned with. It's a time to shift and really honor your gifts and talents, to serve to other people. Yeah.
Amen on that. It doesn't have to necessarily be this exotic thing. You know, people can naturally just look at an engine and just take it apart and put it together and make it's their symphony. they
Mm,
can just, that's, they can take that Rubik's Cube and just, and it does serve us, to get to where we need to go. Everybody has that natural, as you said, gift. And I think that is so huge, and that cannot be stressed enough. Like you were saying, suppression, when we're
mhm.
suppressing those urges, the ideas, the divine downloads that we're actually getting, and we're ignoring it and not trusting it,
Mhm.
is suppressing it. And when
Yeah.
we're suppressing what we, that is what leads to the depression and uh, anger, guilt, and anxiety. We're
Mhm.
not trusting. It's another mechanism of the ego. It doesn't. It wants you to play small. Don't
Yeah.
do what you play it safe. Play
Mhm.
small. Hey, don't do that. This is not the time for that. And you're 45 years old. Don't do this business. Just just do something safe. But in all the hopes that we feel guilty.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
and that's,
definitely. By not honoring your gifts and talents and neglecting your passion, you start to feel resentment. What if I did this, and then but then I have these such and such responsibility. Oh, that's too crazy for me. I can be selfish, and you deny that, and that itself has its own consequence, right? So I mean, obviously you have to choose, and it's a scary thing,
yeah,
but that's where it calls us to grow up, get over our judgment, our be playing it small, so I think universe will honor when you also take a courageous risk, because if we don't take a risk, if we don't step out of our comfort zone, there's no changes, there's no growth, and you're just gonna have, maybe you'll have a predictable, safe, mediocre life, but what's that it's going to contribute into humanity, you know so yeah, it might not be for everyone, but if you have that tug in your heart, we have to answer. We have to take a chance and risk.
we get rewarded every time. This is
It's so true.
it. We get rewarded every time. It's the most scariest thing to be vulnerable to the world and, leave the wastelands of this mediocre, you know, and we're going into the parts unknown
Mhm.
that seems so scary. But, when we go anyways, despite whatever fear, everything is zinging, saying, don't do this. And every time when we go anyways and trust, because it's heart centered, it feels good. That's the
Mhm.
big difference. It's not something that's warning you of danger. It's
Yeah.
it when it's full of love, and
Mhm.
you know that this is, a heart centered, passionate thing to do. It requires so much more of you because it's more bravery, more thought, more cells of recognition, or more awareness of ourselves. And then the person that we meet is our higher being, more awareness, more love for ourselves. That so the person we're afraid of is who we'll meet, and it's ourselves.
Yeah, I love how you said it about heart center. So that's where the shift is exactly happening for that reason. Because the ego base is like based on logics, right? We're not thinking from our heart, but we're just stuck in our head thinking from our brain, left brain. So we're not really listening to our heart. So our brain, like the frontal lobe, have a lot of memories, based on a survival mechanism. It stores, oh, this didn't work, this was dangerous. So it's constantly sending a signal, don't do this, don't do that, this is stupid, this is, you're gonna get hurt. It's always sending us those things to protect us. But we cannot always rely on this, because if we don't connect here, then you cannot really have that, you cannot grow, you cannot really connect to, have a faith and trust in your own ability. You're always worry, you're always in fear, always having a victim of anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna predict yourself about, oh, that's going to, if you're saying something, oh, this is dangerous because this is going to happen, if you're showing up, if that's what you're primarily operating in, that mindset, sure enough, that's going to be your reality. That's what you're going to manifest, because we're that powerful, to create based on our thought. But if you're connected with our heart and everything is heart-based, then you start to open up the possibility. You start to draw, more that support you, and you start to attract those things. So yeah, I think it's so important to stay in touch, means opening our heart so we can trust and welcoming, the changes and transformation that is helpful. When we operate from fear and anxiety, our body starts to contract. So then you have accidents, you make a wrong decision based on you're making a decision from the desperate measures. Desperate people make a desperate decision and keep repeating the cycle. Or when you surrender, you have a courage to let go, you have a courage to surrender and trust what's really ultimately controlling everything, because everything is supposed to be going in the right direction if you let go of your fear, get out your way, let it do where it needs to take you. So you kind of you become more relaxed in that sense. I don't know how many times I feel like jumping off the cliff, and I had no choice but to jump off the cliff at that point. And always, almost all the time, I'm always supported with a security blanket when I jump off, look down, and I didn't see anything. But when I jump off, there's something up there to help me. So, I didn't get hurt, I'm okay. I don't know how many times I had that situation, and it confirms me it's not going to kill me. I'm all right. But if I was operating from, oh my God, this is so dangerous, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get killed. And if you're in that mindset, maybe you'll have a terrible accident. Maybe that's where you're attracting your reality to be. So we definitely have a responsibility on creating the world we want based on our thoughts. So
Yeah.
might as well pick the right positive ones, happy thoughts.
Exactly. That's why we see what we see now, because the collective consciousness is in a belief and agreement on some of the things that we see now, and we need to come to a bigger, larger agreement in unison on some other things, and we do that by stepping forward and helping more people clear that temple and
Yes.
and awaken the other minds. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful thing. We're always supported no matter what we do.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a great way to, boost our immunity to these toxic forces, toxic chemicals, pesticides, programmings of the world. And we choose to see what version of the world we want to see.
Exactly.
We choose. And, I really wanted to thank you for joining with me on this and share a lot of great information.
Oh,
Absolutely.
so pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you a few questions before you go. What has been your most favorite book? Maybe not number one, but one of your favorite books of all time?
Wow. There's a lot of books actually really impact me positively and changed my life. So it's really difficult to pick only one.
Right.
But right now it just popped into my head. Is this book called Dreamcatcher, um, by oh gosh, what was the name of the author? Wilkinson. I can't remember his first name, but you can see it's the book called Dreamcatcher, and basically, the book is about waking up into your calling and waking up to your purpose and take a journey. And it was just really enlightening experience to read that book, and I realized that this is what this is all about story we are creating. So stories never stuck somewhere. Yeah, we wanted to be proactive, creating the exciting, happy story. Yeah. I think it's David Wilkinson. I hope it's right.
I, I I'll double check on that. That's beautiful. And absolutely, dreams are powerful. We never, this physical body may be asleep, but when we are mind, the mind is always on. The mind never shuts off. These are the great times where we can get all these beautiful downloads and messages. And that's beautiful. I've never heard of that. I am gonna look that up. Now, if you could say, whether it's virtual, you've never met them before in your life,
Yeah.
or of course in real life, who would you say would be your favorite teacher? Someone that has just made this impact in your life, an imprint that you think of from time to time.
Um, I'm just trying to understand your question. Who I see?
Who would be
Influence.
your favorite teacher, if you will?
Wow. It's so hard to pick one teacher because there's so many in my life.
Yeah.
Um, right now I'm seeing this one person came into my mind. I think her name was Vandana Shiva. She's like a humanitarian educator. She's such a powerful woman speaking against Monsanto, and she's really big activist in India. I just see that like she's such a powerful divine feminine energy. And she's working for the collective and for the humanity, and she's super intelligent and super powerful educator and speaker and activist. So yeah, I would love to meet her in the future, and learning from her, and how to be active and be a powerful change maker.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. It's, because it's not just who we are, but people have made such an impact on us. And that's a great way to really get to know somebody of who impacted them, you know?
Hmm.
And so I asked this of everybody, and we're both, musicians and things like that. So what has been your favorite live performance that you've ever seen? Favorite concert? This was the experience.
Ah, wow. To be honest, like I don't think I have been to that many concert. Although I'm a musician, I didn't really had that many opportunity to go on a concert. But then like I saw like some amazing, like the local, like the unknown artists, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm like so moved and touched versus like the big commercial artists that I didn't really have much, chance to see, although they're super talented and, amazing for their craft and the arts.
Oh
But
yeah, any performance. It never had to be never had to have been a concert or anything like that, but
Oh,
performance, seeing somebody, uh, and Husep's probably saying that,
yeah.
is it my guitar playing that your favorite performance?
Yeah, I'm really like I touched by this artist, inspired by this artist named by Parangi.
Mhm.
He's amazing sound medicine conscious artist in the conscious independent music field, and yeah, he's very powerful. Like whenever I listen to his music and just feel the medicine and this high vibrations, and yeah.
That's awesome. Beautiful. That's the best music, the things that lift our spirits and
Spirit, yeah.
connect
Yeah,
it.
connect us. He brings this connection to my ancestors, and this indigenous part that existed in me, from this ancestor memory. So he is the artist who are able to get me to that place.
That
So yeah.
I'm gonna have to look all those up. I have some good things to look up now. And so I hope we get to do this again, and especially maybe some type of music as well. But
Yes.
I want to really thank you for bringing all your wealth of experience and your
Oh,
passion.
thank you so much for having me here, and so honored and very excited to share what I can.
Absolutely. It gives people food for thought that, the daily trivia of every day can be broken up and do something different. And it takes a first step, and you can booster
Mm,
our immunity to these toxic
mhm.
forces that are going on. And so, again, I want to thank everyone for joining us that were watching all around the world or on the replay. Any questions, put them out there and we'll get back to them. And again, Naseem, I want to really thank you so much for joining with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave, and thank you everyone for watching. Peace and blessings to you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.